What we are seeing here is a time-lapse video from the CDC showing the rate of COVID-19 infection from July 1st to August 1st. Early July, we nearly had this kicked. Then people chose to lie about their vaccination status and walk around without masks. Towards the end of July, 97% of COVID-related hospitalizations were unvaccinated people. Breakthrough infections among vaccinated people can happen, but it is rare. Very few, if any, vaccinated people go to the hospital, and even fewer go to the ICU for treatment of lethal symptoms. In fact, most vaccinated breakthrough infections are much like a cold. Vaccinated people aren't dying. Unvaccinated people are dying, and they're filling the hospitals to capacity. This will have a domino effect on car accidents, heart attacks, as well as other treatable conditions. This also slows life-saving medical attention and limits resources needed for these emergencies. Anti-vaxxers are now begging for vaccines, but it's too late when they are in ICU. Get vaccinated now. Good morning, guys. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let me see if I can move my mic closer to my face. That might help. What's going on? Can you guys hear me? I hope you can. Let me see if I've got my mic on right. Yes, I have the sound and everything. So how are you guys doing? What's up? Good morning. So we got Big Zebra, Mr. Shadow Kitty, Michael. Sandy was first. Sandy was first. So what's up, guys? My sound is good. Awesome. Awesome sauce. So, hello, Penultima. What's going on, people? Did you have a decent week? My week was pretty busy, but that's okay. It's supposed to be busy sometimes, you know? It passes the time, which can be good or bad. I'm hurting and was moving around to help it. The water's hot and the coffee is almost ready. Sweet. I am drinking iced coffee today. I like iced coffee when it's hot outside. So when it starts to cool off, I'll go back to the hot coffee. I'm sorry you're hurting too, Sandy. Hope everything feels better soon. I'm getting old, so everything hurts. Everybody hurts sometimes. Yeah. I'm trying to find. Okay, so I've got some things lined up to talk about today that are kind of cool. And also some things of people being absolutely ridiculous, beyond being bored out of my mind with pharmacology notes and studies. Life's all right. I think I have a little rogue Nina. She has decided to come over and join us today. Hey, student Dr. Ben. Nina, would you like to say good morning to everyone? You came over here. Do you want to say hi? She perked her ears up. That's all y'all are getting. She only barks when she's irritated. Hello, student Dr. Ben. I think I just said that. I said hi to you. Oh, gosh, I'm going to drink more coffee. Michael was feeding baby squirrels earlier. That's fun, isn't it? They would eat. If I put birdseed out, they would eat all the birdseed. But, I'm kind of at the point to where I don't mind who eats the birdseed, Hey, Donald. Speaking of ridiculous, a hostess at a New York restaurant was attacked by tourists when she inquired about their vax status. Yes, I'm actually going to talk about that today. So, sorry, I pushed the wrong button. What's new? So, let's have a look at this and see what's going on. I pulled this from Law and Crime. So, apparently, the restaurant patrons were from Texas, guys. Shock, awe, surprise, right? There's certainly ass in Texas. I'm sorry, that wasn't very nice and inappropriate. I apologize. Oh, goodness. It's okay. You jumped the gun. But, this is where we talk. A lot of people, like teachers and stuff, you want student-driven learning. So when a student brings up something, and not that I'm saying my viewers are my students, although I might have some viewers that are my students, which is okay. Anytime a student brings up a point, if it's relevant to your lesson or relevant to your discussion or lecture or whatever, it's nice to pull it up right then because you got them engaged. So it's cool. Don't worry about it. You don't have to jump the gun. It's not jumping the gun. So that way, anytime somebody brings them, like, hey, yeah, I want to talk about that today. That's awesome. Let me pull that up. You saw that too? So for the teachers out there, that's a great way to keep your students engaged is when they bring up stuff that's relevant to your content. So here we go. Restaurant patrons from Texas. Oh, Michael, you're feeding 3 infant orphans that still need formula. Aw, that's sweet. And Donald's feeding new puppies, little baby puppies. So restaurant patrons from Texas, send New York City hostess to the hospital after she asked about the group's vaccination status. Oh my God. It was a brawl. Carmine's restaurant in New York City, and it was captured on cell phone. Do we have the video? Let me see if we can pull up the video. Certainly it's somewhere. Oh gosh. So Kada Rankin and Tiana Rankin and Sally Lewis of Texas are charged in connection with the incident. You got a 44-year-old, a 21-year-old, and a 49-year-old. So I bet it's probably a mom, a daughter, and a friend. Sarah Palin just said she won't get vaccinated because she believes in science. Every word out of her mouth puzzles me. Oh my goodness. Let's see if we can pull up video of Texas woman. Well, not video of NYC greeter attacked by Texas women vaccination. Okay, so let's see. All right, video. This is not what I wanted. Let me go back to news. All. New York Post. Is there a link to the video? That's what I want to know. Here we go. Wait a second. So I'm going to wait for this freaking commercial to end. Come on, New York Post. You get on my nerves. Hey, Randolph, what's going on? Is this... All right, here we go. Finally. So let's have a look. Oh, fuck! Oh my God! What is going on? Tell me what's going on. He's walking up on us. Okay, I want to see what happened before. I want to see what happened before the altercation there. Yeah. I want to know what happened prior to that. I don't have that information. That's the only problem that I have with stuff like this. It is not okay to attack another person. Let me say that. Clearly says there are signs about vaccination status. So the problem I have is I don't see what happens prior to that, right? I don't. So it's really hard. I get you should not attack anybody. You need to keep your hands to yourself, respect personal space. But I want to know it. I mean, this clearly was an escalation. There's something that happened prior to this that would make these people angry, because I wouldn't normally just expect people. I would. It's just there's something missing. There's context missing here. I want to know what happened prior to that. All I heard was just a little bit of she was walking up on us. So there was clearly some kind of confrontation that was happening between both parties, and it escalating to fisticuffs. So that's the problem I have with videos like this. People are like, okay, well, yes, they absolutely attacked this woman. They should not have done that. That is not okay. But I also want to know what happened prior to that. So those are the questions that get raised in my head. Was this woman as a greeter swearing at people? I don't know. That still doesn't mean she deserves to be punched, or hit or choked or whatever. She does not deserve any of that. But I want to know what happened prior to that, because I'd like to have the full picture. So it's So, I mean, she was bruised and scratched. So we're not talking like heavy. So she went to the hospital. I think that was a precautionary measure. I don't think, I mean, she was just bruised and scratched. I'm gonna go to the hospital. Okay, well, fair enough. But if she was only bruised and scratched, I don't think. Okay. So this is an executive order by the mayor in New York that was issued August 16th. And it says a covered entity shall not permit a patron, full or part-time employee, intern, volunteer, or contractor to enter a covered premises without displaying proof of vaccination and identification bearing the same identifying information as the proof of vaccination. A covered premises includes, among other things, the indoor portions of food service establishments offering food and drink. Okay, so in order to eat inside a restaurant in New York, you need to be vaccinated. Apparently, people don't like that. Who knew? With the heavy pushback from anti-vaxxers. So I'm just kind of there's a lot more nuance to this, particularly when you get into the distrust of medicine, particularly among marginalized groups. And rightly so, because there have been racism and discrimination among various groups, including the Black community. And again, rightly so. People don't want to get vaccines from, particularly if they've had family members who have been discriminated against in their lifetime. And it's still a very relevant thing. Harvard did a study a couple years ago. Brand new medical students actually think that Black people have thicker skin and have tougher nerve endings, so they don't believe that they're in pain when they say they're in pain. So that is a thing. That's a problem. So when you couple that with you need to get vaccinated, tension is already high. You're already dealing with a lot of distrust among medicine. So that's why I'm saying I want to know what happened prior to this altercation. Nobody goes full on. Nobody goes to a restaurant and goes, I'm just going to beat the first person that asks me if I'm vaccinated. I don't know anybody who does that. So that's where I get confused. Let's see. Let's pull up the chat overlay, see if we got any chat going on. Takes a minute to refresh. All righty. Randolph says, sadly, a significant number of anti-vaxxers act violently or make threats of violence. This is true. You don't see vaccinated people standing outside of schools demanding people to get vaccinated, although maybe we need to start doing that. Not getting violent, mind you, or threats of violence. But maybe the vaccinated people need to start standing outside and making those, stand outside and protesting. This sort of behavior is just bogus, says Sandy. And then Big Zebra says, there are many people who only appear to be adults, but they are just undisciplined children in disguise. It's possible. Yep. Well, that's certainly true. Sinister Porpoise says, ivermectin and betadine are not the latest Mountain Dew flavors. Please stop treating them as such. Yes. People are gargling iodine, guys. People are gargling betadine, essentially, which is what they rub down on your skin as a disinfectant before they cut into you. Um, and people are gargling it like it's mouthwash because it'll stop the Rona. Well, it will if it like poisons you. It'll stop you as well, but whatever. Oh my goodness. There's a spicy Cheetos flavor coming on, says Sinister Porpoise. How you doing, Sinister Porpoise? Ah, medicine is still super racist. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Dr. Ben. Student Dr. Ben. And it is horrifying that it is so incredibly racist. Um, so I understand that type of fear associated with not getting vaccinated, which is why we need representation and have people in that community who are, Black people, brown people who are doctors, who can be advocates for Black and brown people to help them, understand what the vaccines are and to at least be somebody that they feel comfortable talking with. Because, I mean, I feel like I can be an advocate, but I can't be an effective one, not like a fully effective one for a community of Black and brown people going into their community and say, "Hey, y'all need to get vaccinated." It's not going to be as effective as like a Black medical doctor going into there, or a Black or brown um academic person who understands that medical racism and can address those fears and concerns respectfully and in a relevant and effective way, more so than I can. I can only say I completely understand your reservations. I accept that this is a thing that is real. So please get vaccinated. And if you don't trust the science or the medicine, find a doctor that you do trust and talk with them about it. Just find a doctor that you trust and talk with them about it. Somebody who is an expert in the field. And that's hard to do sometimes because we lack substantial representation. So it's a big problem. Ah, man. Let's see. I'm catching up on the chat. Let's see. Yeah, ivermectin is okay medicine, but a vaccine is bad. Okay, cherry pickers. Yeah, I mean, ivermectin is great if you got a terrible runaway case of head lice, right? Because it's for parasites. And one of the things that makes me nuts, particularly with the anti-vaxxers, is that they think bacteria and viruses are the same thing. Bacteria, viruses, and parasites are the same thing. That's what they think. And they don't understand that the chemical on the actual mode of entry of how it is that bacteria get you sick versus viruses. They don't understand that they're completely different ways. They're different things. Parasites behave differently than bacteria. Bacteria behaves differently than viruses, because if they were all the same, we would just have one drug and wipe out all of them. You could say, hey, this drug right here works great on all three. But that's not how they work. There was somebody in like a Facebook chat. I took a break from yelling at people on Facebook this week, guys. I really did. I really did, because I was tired. There are people who think that viruses can evolve without humans. Like they can evolve in animals and jump to humans, which is true. But they think that people who are vaccinated are causing the virus to mutate. Oh, it can mutate. Well, sure. If you're vaccinated and you get infected, sure, it could possibly mutate, but it's not likely to be a mutation that is going to stick. That's like beneficial because you need about 900,000 replications. Around 900,000 replications. It's like pulling a slot machine, guys. Viruses require cells to make copies of themselves. This is why there's a constant debate on whether or not viruses are living, because they can't reproduce on their own. They require a host. That's where they go. Okay, then it's a parasite. No, not really. Not really a parasite. They require a host cell, but that is a blanket term in order to hijack all of those cellular organelles that a virus doesn't have, because a virus doesn't have, ribosomes. It can't make messenger. I mean, it has to have something else make parts for it so it can put itself together. So it's just like, what is going on? All righty. Hey, Peter. Peter has joined us. Low Energy Videos is here. Gen XU, I think. Gen XU. Is the silence from the Jilly Juice people on the effectiveness on the virus more than a bit telling? Man, I don't know. Jilly Juice is terrible. Ugh, she's so gross. She blocked me on Twitter. Her salty cabbage water put 2 people in the hospital for strokes. So my dog is mad about something. He's mad about something. I think maybe a cat walked by the house and he could hear it. So, yeah. So that's one of the things that make me kind of nuts about all of this. So does the dog like sleeping on the cheetah print pillow? Yes. She is the keeper of the Funko Pops. Here, let's have a look. Hey, Neen. We've got some new Funko Pops. Got a new Antiope. And I got the What If variant of Black Widow. I also have Captain Carter. So there's little Neen, the science doggo, living her best life. She got her shots yesterday. Her annual vaccinations. So please get shots for your dog. Those are really important. Shots for your doggos. Something smells like an open sewer. What smells like an open sewer? Is it? Oh, the Jilly Juice. Yeah. It's like disgusting kimchi. It's like really bad. Here, let's have a little bit of some happy news. How about that? Let's have something that's really cool. So check this out. He was reading at 1 and doing fractions by 2. And at 13 years, he's majoring in aerospace engineering at Georgia Tech. Look at this kid.
Yeah, a win feels good.
Well, I'm going to wait on the commercial until it's done. I get so many ads on frickin' Twitter for gambling, and I don't do that ever. So I don't know what Google's talking about. It's like sports gambling. Guys, it's sports gambling. I tweeted once about how I didn't understand sports. And then the next day, I was like full of ads like this.
Can be a humbling experience, no matter how smart or how old you are. Here's CBS's Mark Strassman.
Caleb Anderson's adjusting to big changes.
This is Caleb.
His new campus at Georgia Tech.
I'm taking integral calculus.
His new voice.
I'm taking integral calculus. I have a studio for that.
See,
Integral calculus. He's 13.
Caleb just turned 13. By far, the youngest whiz kid at one of America's elite engineering schools.
Have you got some funny looks?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I also have had those moments where, man, I am at college. And, this is incredible.
So that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. So this kid seems like, I wonder if he's still going to high school, because I would think he would still have to complete the prerequisites, but maybe they let him take a few courses while he's finishing high school.
9 months, Caleb learns sign language, reading at 1.
Look at this.
By 2, doing fractions.
2, 3.
At 3, he qualified for Mensa. And now...
Oh my God. At 3, he qualified for Mensa? Oh my gosh. Wow. That's freaking amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
An aerospace engineering major instead of a 7th grader.
And I'm being challenged.
You're not the only smart kid in the room.
Oh, definitely. I think I'm average here.
Classes.
So he's an average student, college student at 13. That's not average. Oh my goodness. Look at this kid go, man. I want to know why some of these people aren't wearing masks. Maybe we should go through and look at this video and see who let's write down, document a bit who in this class is not wearing a mask. Well, I see one dude right here. I'm not wearing a mask, but the other people, like literally everyone else around him is.
It's easy,
Okay.
class is hard.
Class is definitely hard. The one thing that unites
it's calculus,
everybody in
man.
this
It's
school is
hard.
that the work is terrifying.
We see that the function capital F.
But what scares him now could make him even smarter. Mark Strassman.
So we got somebody without a mask here. I've counted 2. So anyway, woo! 13-year-old kid going to Georgia Tech to learn engineering. Just a little bit of happy for us for that. How cool is that? The youngest whiz kid at one of America's elite engineering schools. So he studied, before Georgia Tech, Anderson studied for a year at Chattahoochee Technical College in Marietta, Georgia. He would have been on track to graduate in 2 years, but his parents wanted a university that was the right fit for the young genius. So he went to a local college, technical college. So shout out to community colleges and technical colleges. I work at a community college, and they're super accessible for people who have unconventional pathways. And this is an unconventional journey and an unconventional pathway for a young person to take. And where I live, the first 2 years of college, if you go to community college, you can go for free. You can go for free in my state if you go to a community college for the first 2 years. Probably one of the few benefits of living here. So, you got to deal with the Trumper neighbors. But there you go. So at 9 months old, he learned sign language and he was reading by 1. By 2, he was doing fractions. At 3, he qualified for Mensa and he's now aerospace engineering major instead of a 7th grader. So this is pretty awesome. It's cool. And if you are wanting to get into a bigger university, going to a community college to get your sea legs can be the way to do that, so you can be more effective. Because the thing about community colleges that make them really great is the teachers there are invested in their students. At least the one where I teach, we're invested in our students. We are not required to do research to keep our job. We are all in with our students. So I know I'm all in with that. And that's one of the main focuses of our school is, since 70% are poverty line, we want to take students from poverty to prosperity. And one way to do that is through a good education. So that's pretty cool. Let's catch up on the chat here. Woo. The Young Turks reports that 7 anti-vax radio hosts have died of COVID. What does that demographic group's numbers look like? Oh my goodness. It's interesting. There have been studies that have been done. Let's see. On the higher incidence of COVID-19 among Trump states. Let's have a look. Okay, now that I turned the chat back up on the side, here, let me share my screen again. The vast majority. So this came out 6 days ago. 23 states have COVID-19 cases that surpass the national average. 21 of them voted for Trump, report says. And essentially, yes, there is a red-blue divide in how states, golly, are handling the pandemic, according to the Washington Post. Let me see. So this is interesting. States that backed the former president, Donald Trump, in the most recent presidential election, the one in 2020, have higher rates of COVID-19 cases and deaths than those that voted for President Joe Biden. Out of the 23 states that have a total of new COVID-19 cases per capita, that surpasses the national ratio. The media outlet reported that 21 voted for Trump in November. Hawaii and Georgia are the only Biden voting states that have more cases per capita than the country's average. No. So here's the Washington Post original article. So I'll post this in the chat. If you want to have a look. So this was on the 10th. So this is about 8 days ago. Deaths per day during the 4th surge. Georgia's way up there. California, well, when we consider per capita. Keep in mind, this is per capita. Texas and Florida. Man. Where we are. So here There are states that voted for Trump are in red. States that voted for Biden are in blue. So crunching the numbers, we're looking at a disproportionate amount of people in red states. Less than half are vaccinated, completed vaccinations. They have more deaths per capita, more cases per capita. "17 most vaccinated states voted for Biden. 17 least vaccinated states voted for Trump." Oh my goodness. So there is a solid political divide. And it's staggering. I mean, this is so blatantly obvious. I feel like I point this out, and anti-vaxxers who are also pro-Trump, it's like I feel like I'm being doused in ice cold water, and I'm like, this is so freaking obvious. This is ice cold water. Look at it. And they're like, nah, that's fake news. What do you do with that? It's crazy, guys. It's crazy. Ah, my goodness. And it's really, really hard for me to feel badly. It's really hard for me to feel badly for anti-vax radio hosts who catch COVID and die, because they were warned. And not only were they warned, they also tried to kill other people with them. Misinformation at this point is lethal. It is lethal. Bye, Big Zebra. I missed your bye. Man. So it's just, what do we do with this? There's like no way to, I mean, and at this point, we know people are not going to do the right thing unless they are forced to do the right thing. This is why we have laws, right? There has got to be repercussions for reckless behavior that hurts other people. So, another example. So here, there is a recent thing that came out. So Tennessee, if you notice, if you go back and look, Tennessee is pretty bad. Tennessee is pretty bad when it comes to this. If you look, Tennessee has right here, huge high number, really crazy high number of cases. And so Governor Bill Lee came out recently. Well, not recently. Came out in August and signed an executive order saying that parents they could opt to not have their kids wear masks in schools. They signed a note. Well, then parents of disabled kids came out and said, what are you doing? We have children who are at high risk. There is no vaccine available for us. And a federal judge blocked Governor Bill Lee's executive order from allowing parents to opt out of school masks requirements aimed at limiting coronavirus infections in Shelby County. So Shelby County is a big county in Tennessee. So people don't think about, they're like, okay, hey, harmonica man. So here we've got there are people who are yelling about no mask, no mask, no masks. And then there's others that are like, this is bad for our kids. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. I used to teach high school, and I would absolutely hate to be a public school teacher right now. So this judge overturned it, essentially saying, nope, I'm blocking this executive order. And what they said, let me see if I can find it. Plaintiffs offered sufficient evidence at this stage to demonstrate that the executive order interferes with the plaintiff's ability to safely access their schools. There's no way that Shelby County can afford to protect all of this disabled kids from COVID-19 if there is no mask mandate in the schools. This you guys remember when I said about Fox requiring vaccination and social distancing if you're not vaccinated and you have to wear a mask? This is why some parents sued. Parents of disabled kids sued, saying they cannot protect my kid from getting COVID if the rest of them aren't vaccinated. Or, there's no vaccine for kids. The rest of them are not wearing masks. They can't, they don't have enough money to be able to protect and provide resources to ensure my disabled children are not going to get COVID-19. And there's sufficient evidence for that. There's more evidence to show that masking works, and it's a cheap way of reducing spread of viruses, of COVID-19. We have studies on that now. There's more evidence to show than that works, and it's cheap. So when I said that Fox News was mandating vaccination, pretty much making it impossible to not get vaccinated at their main place of business for their employees, that it had nothing to do with the safety of their employees, more so than it was so they don't get sued. It's about not getting sued. And now that Governor Bill Lee is getting sued, essentially, you go to the Justice Department and they're like, okay. So they said the parents' lawsuit claims Lee's order violates the Americans with Disabilities Act, that's the ADA, which prohibits the exclusion of students with disabilities from public educational programs and activities. Children with certain disabilities are more vulnerable to serious illness or death if they get COVID-19. And this was from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, has said. So, in violation of other acts and laws. So I encourage people to fight back. We have precedents now. So here, the lawsuit, which seeks class action status, cites 3 students in Collierville and Germantown. If you're familiar with Shelby County, that's the rich people schools. I'm just saying. That's the rich people schools. Rich people go there. And if you're not rich, you have to get on a waiting list to go there. So there you go. Interesting. Rich people schools. They're the ones who got together and got a lawyer. So rich people, you too can sue over this. And this made national news. So if you look up Collierville and Germantown in Tennessee, in Shelby County, you can look it up pretty easily. Those are rich people schools. Funny that. But there you go. It's all really freaking interesting. the political divide. And then you have, no, we can't have, mask mandates. But we can. We cannot force. I mean, we can't expect people to do the right thing because they're not going to. I mean, if they did, then we wouldn't have laws. We wouldn't have mandates. Things wouldn't be overall illegal because people are the worst, aren't they? They can be. Oh my goodness. So it's frustrating to encounter things like that, you know? Let me catch up on the chat here. Oh man. Sandy says, I'm glad my parents didn't live long enough to see the current political climate. We would have had way too many arguments. Fair enough, right? But for all our differences, I'm positive they would have been first in line to get their jabs and wear masks and mom's oxygen under it, no doubt. Keep up the good fight, says Harmonica Man. Thank you. Our rates are ridiculous. I'm fortunate that I do have a boomer parent, and she has her parents were children during, well, yeah, they were essentially kids during the world wars. Like teens, I guess. I'm trying to think how old they are. They got to be 80 now, pushing 80. They got to be in their 80s, yeah. So they were kids during the world wars. There is no talking to them. There is no talking to them about politics or science, anything. There's is just not there. My mom, however, she's a reasonable human being. And when they were talking about vaccines, when they first started mentioning it in the news, she texted me, would you take this vaccine if it was available? And I said, yes, 1,000 times yes. And if I needed to take 2, I would take 2. If I need a third, I will take a third. You don't want this virus. And then I talked to her about it, as far as how they work, why it was so fast versus like in the past where it takes years to make a vaccine. Well, that's with deactivated virus, right? Where it's not the same. It's not the same as previous vaccines, which is okay. So, hey, Sly Gentleman, how are you doing? So she listens to the science, and she was made fun of by, she was actually the president of the Master Gardeners division out in my town. And she's done a lot of volunteer work with that organization, going to schools, teaching them how to grow things. And then she goes out, and one of the things that she does that she loves is she'll go and put gardens in for Habitat for Humanity. So they'll go to different Home Depots and Lowe's and gardening places and ask for any plants that they just have had for a while and they just want to donate. Then they'll take those plants and build little gardens for people for their habitat houses. It's really cool. They have a whole educational division. Those people who are the master gardeners, they would make fun of my mom. They would make fun of her for socially distancing, not coming to their mask-free margarita parties over at so-and-so's house who just got back from Florida. No. You going on a trip to Florida in the early days of the pandemic, and they used to make fun of her for it. She's fully vaccinated right now. She got COVID. She did get COVID prior to getting vaccinated because I think she got it from work. She works in the travel industry. So she got COVID. She immediately was able to go to the hospital. She got the monoclonal antibodies treatment. And as soon as she was able to get the vaccine, she would get it. She went and got the vaccine. She's like, I'm on this. And then she managed to contract the Delta variant. My mother's pushing 70. She managed to contract the Delta variant, and it didn't put her in the hospital. It just made her feel yucky for about a week. But had she not been vaccinated, probably would have killed her. Probably would have killed her. Allergies. There are very few people who are unable to take this vaccine. Very few people. Very few. And it's a shame. Oh gosh. But like my grandparents, my mother forced my grandparents to get vaccinated. But when I say that they're out there, they are all in on Fox News. They think that that's accurate news because they say all the things that reminds them of their racist childhoods, their racist upbringing. So they're like, oh, it's just like how we used to think when we were like younger. That means, we were right. It's really frustrating. They honestly believe, okay, that Black people are going to come and take their house. Okay, guys, they honestly believe that Black people are going to come and take their house. They are armed to the teeth, okay? They are armed to the teeth. And so my mom is like, okay, did Black people come and take your house last week? No. What about last month? Has anybody come knocking on your door to take your house? No. And then, okay, what about this past year? Did Black people come and try to take your house? Because they think that if they're going to come and take their house and that the government is going to make them give the house to Black people. They really honestly believe this. And my mom's like, I'm pretty certain nobody's going to come and take your house. So calm down. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't really go over there for like family stuff anymore. Once I found out that they voted in Trump, and then they were talking about how smart he is, and I'm sitting there with my 4 degrees, and they think that being a woman is a disability, and they didn't realize how smart I was, and we knew you were smart. We didn't think you were that smart. And then being completely dumbfounded with the idea that somehow I managed to get a chemistry professor job. And they're like, I just don't understand. Anytime I drove a car and if I had a guy in the car with me, my grandma would be like, well, it's just like you're cutting off his balls. The guy's supposed to drive. I'm like, and then I've been married before. And my grandma was like, what did you do to make him want to leave you? So it's like, after having all of this culminated and then finding out they voted for Trump. And then I'm sitting there and they're talking about how smart he is. He's going to make America great. It's draining the swamp. And I'm sitting there going, okay. He has a single degree. It's from Wharton. His professors hated him, and his parents donated an undisclosed amount of money to that school. Well, he graduated valedictorian? No, he didn't. He's stupid. I have 4 degrees, and I'm telling you, this man is trash. We're going to tout education. I'm smarter than he is. Why don't you listen to me? And then my mom's like, okay, no more politics talk. I don't. the sexism is so incredible in my family. The sexism is so incredible in my family, at least on that side, with some of that. I don't want to be president, guys. I don't feel like getting assassinated. We're going to have to be a bit more progressive. I'm okay with Kamala right now. She's doing all right. Just let her have it. I can't imagine being president right now. I can't. I have a hard enough time dealing with people as it is. And it's just, I'm going to be sick thinking about that. But it's just, what do you do with that? There's no reforming that. There's no having a logical conversation with somebody. Yeah, and you're right. The eminent domain, yeah, that sucks. Eminent domain sucks. But yeah, making it racial, we have Fox News to thank for that. They don't take any responsibility for what they say. Oh, we're just entertainment. Anybody who believes anything we say, who'd be stupid enough to believe what we say is true? And then to their viewers, they're like, yeah, we had to say that just in court. You know how it is. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We got the real answers, and you guys keep listening. It's like, how do you? And then there's people like my grandparents who just buy into that crap. And and then my grandparents. So me, my brother, and my sister are the only educated people in our family since we got off the boat in this country. Like the only ones that have college educations. Maybe, at least the first ones. Okay. We probably have educated family now that are extended that we just don't talk to. But we were the first ones in our understanding of like actually completing an education. And it's like we're just sitting here going, and my grandparents are like, well, how did you have these kids that went to college? And then I had an aunt once who was like, well, I think, they'd go to college and they just brainwash you into being a liberal. And then they make you not want to do religion anymore. Like, well, there are religious colleges you can go to. So it's just, it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm catching up on the chat. It's really hard to deal with the willful ignorance that you see. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting to have to deal with that all the time. You're like, oh my God, I don't want to deal with this. It's like, this is so exhausting. Because it just doesn't seem to get better. If you guys don't follow MD Aware, he's pretty great. I'm going to pull up his Twitter here in just a second. Let me get it. He's pretty awesome. Oh my goodness. And we'll sign off here in just a minute. Let me pull up my tweet deck. Oh, you were censored? I'm sorry. YouTube is weird. YouTube does the weird things sometimes. All right. Let me. Thank you, Sly Gentleman. I appreciate that. Let's have a look at some of this going on. Okay. Oh, that's us. You can also watch on the Twitter. Alrighty. Let me pull up. Where was it? So this was interesting. I don't care if people get vaccinated. I care that people sitting at our dinner table are vaccinated. It's a cultural tradition in my family. We call it minding your own business. This is what MD Aware had to say. Pandemics where everyone's actions only affect themselves and their family and never anyone else. It's like, what? You need to care that everybody gets vaccinated because not everybody can. And even with vaccination, there's no guarantee that you're going to completely not get the virus. I mean, and then there's this one. Thanks to all the volunteers who predictably went after this bait, the first step in changing someone's mind is to respect their ability to make a decision. Having contempt for people who disagree with you guarantees you will never change a mind. You can't possibly change somebody's mind on social media. It's rare. It's a rare day that you actually get through to someone on social media. And it's rare to get through to them on YouTube, because they're looking for stuff that agrees with their perspective. So I'm like, oh God. So you should check out MD Aware. He's a pretty cool guy. I need to hit him up to talk at my college. He had agreed to at one point in time, but he works as an emergency doc at Northwestern. So he's pretty busy, but it's all right. And essentially I was pointing out, I don't expect to change the minds of the willfully ignorant. They usually have to be forced to do the right thing, hence laws and mandates. I mean, that's honestly the truth. I meant to click on myself again. All right, there we go. And another thing to kind of keep in perspective, something that Leah Torres, if you don't follow her, you should check her out as well. A la carte law enforcement equals no law enforcement. So outside of a women's clinic, there's a safety zone. So you can have protesters, but that's fine. You have a right to protest, but don't go into the safety zone. So women can be transferred into and out of a clinic without fear of getting harmed. Of course, there's no police presence or enforcement. So it's like there's never any police presence or enforcement at any Planned Parenthood clinic I've seen locally. And I know that's anecdotal, but we do need to rebuild. We need to restructure the police and what they do, because this is just like a la carte law enforcement is no law enforcement. And then you've got volunteers who wear flak jackets sometimes in different parts of the country. Just to escort women into and out of a clinic because of how violent some of these people get. There is a history of clinics getting bombed and doctors being shot. But hey, a la carte law enforcement. All righty. Out there's when I was on low energy videos yesterday. So, oh my goodness. We're a little over an hour now. I think I might have to go soon. So let's read something from Mr. Rogers. Let's have a look at Neen first. She's asleep over here, just living her best life. Look at her. She's so cute. She's just chilling. The keeper of the Funko Pops. Hey, John Louise. John Louise Vega. Lewis. Maybe it's Lewis. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. Okay. We're going to read a little bit from The World According to Mr. Rogers. Let's check it out. We are all neighbors. We're going to read from that section. Let me see if I can find like a good one. Because we are all neighbors. Thanks, Sandy, for being here. I'm so glad you have enjoyed the company. Let me see if I can find a good one under We Are All Neighbors, or even one under Love. Okay. Let me see. I really like this one. So we've probably read this one recently, but it's still good. Whether we're a preschooler or a young teen, a graduating college senior or a retired person, we human beings all want to know that we're acceptable, that our being alive somehow makes a difference in the lives of others. Yep. So whether we're a preschooler or a young teen, a graduating college senior or a retired person, we human beings all want to know that we're acceptable, that our being alive somehow makes a difference in the lives of others. Because it does. Just the simplest form of kindness can be just getting vaccinated and wearing a mask. And that shows that other people are important to you. Just that small little simple thing. Wearing a mask, social distancing, getting vaccinated, saying, "Hey, thank you. I appreciate I appreciate you for doing this." I mean, just something as small as that can turn somebody's life around. So when I see people wearing masks, when I see people social distancing, when I see that people are getting vaccinated, that lets me know they care about other people. It's not just about their health, and that they are making a difference in someone else's lives. Whether you believe that or not, I mean, it's just, you make a difference in other people's lives just by getting vaccinated, just by doing that, because the vulnerable people in the population, you're helping to make their quality of life better. You're also helping the medical staff who are, on the front lines dealing with this virus. They're tired, guys. You getting vaccinated helps them. It makes their lives better. And it means that you're taking their health into consideration as well. And also for the people who get in car wrecks or having heart attacks that need access to beds for stuff that there's no freaking vaccine for. You don't have a vaccine for heart attacks. You don't have a vaccine for car accidents or work-related injuries. You don't have a vaccine for that. So these people need access to these ICU beds. So get vaccinated. It shows that you care about other people. That one small, simple thing can turn the lives around of everyone, not just you. And it shows that you are making a difference, right? Get freaking vaccinated, guys. Come on. So one more time, whether we're a preschooler or a young teen, a graduating college senior, or a retired person, we human beings all want to know that we're acceptable, that our being alive somehow makes a difference in the lives of others. The world according to Mr. Rogers. Hey, August. All right, guys. So I'll be back. I think I'll be back next Saturday. Next Saturday, same bat time, same bat channel. Please stay safe. Stay safe. Stay safe. Safe, everyone. Please stay safe. Thank you for being here. Thanks, Sandy. I'm glad you're here too. Bye, Mr. Shadow Kitty. And you always make each day special for me. You know how. By just your being you. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.